Good morning, America. Not that brainwashing indoctrination show that they broadcast into your televisions. I guess our own little brand. Happy Thursday, May 7th. Hail Thor, God of Thunder, Master of the Winds of the Western World, Hammer Wielder, Lord of Lightning, Lord of Thor Storms, Lord of Thor, right? I just found some interesting stuff about current events and things that have been happening. So right now, Governor Andrew Cuomo wants to go ahead and charge all of the brave volunteers that came to New York in order to assist in the overwhelming issues with staffing that were going on in trying to deal with the current event. Now, in one briefing, the governor detailed a letter, read it as part of his briefing, and showed an N95 mask that a farmer had sent him. It was a touching letter and a nice gesture by the farmer, and the governor held that up as to be just an unbelievable example of American exceptionalism and how great this person was and selfless and amazing, just awesome. Basically calling anybody that didn't do something like that a total piece of crap. And then he demands that all the people that came to New York to assist with the recovery and mitigation of the current event, that they're going to have to pay New York State income tax. I mean, this gentleman's son of a bitch's hypocrisy knows no end, folks. And another unconfirmed rumor about him is apparently he gave himself a raise during this event, $70,000, I believe it was. You can do your own research. I'm not here to give anybody definite facts. I can give you what the rumors are because I'm not there signing a paycheck for Andrew Cuomo. I can't confirm the amount. But the news is that he gave himself a raise, went ahead and has given himself a raise, and enacted over 280 different regulations and laws or changed things about the way the state administration works during this time. So basically going around just utilizing his power as a tyrant. Unlike President Trump, thank you, Mr. President Donald J. Trump, for showing that you appreciate and understand the Constitution in this time. You could have went ahead and acted like a tyrant, such as Governor Andrew Cuomo is attempting. But instead, you went ahead and are allowing states to exercise their own sovereignty, which is a constitutional way to conduct the government, the federal government. I like my coffee like I like my women. Cold and bitter. It's nice. Unadulterated. I wouldn't go ruin the stuff with sugar or milk or anything else. Why would you want to do that? You bought the coffee to drink it, I think. Well, at least I did. But some people just can't stand the regular flavor of coffee, I guess. They want a choco laco mate lugala bagamiza out of some business that doesn't even pay taxes but charges you $9 a cup for a coffee, folks. Real geniuses you are going down there and supporting all these businesses that have worked with our corrupt leaders in order to find tax preferences and shelters for not having to pay property taxes. On a side note, I went ahead and requested investigations to be started by the Department of Justice and the Inspector General's office at the federal level into some acquisitions and some business dealings through the Allegany County Industrial Development Agency Turns out that the truck stop that they're building, where the IDA purchased the land through a big, insider trading deal that they do at the local levels, and then went ahead and is allowing a developer to develop the property. And I trace back, so the corporation that's really behind all this is capital C, capital A, capital V, LLC. I'll go ahead and put in this video at the bottom, I'll put some links so that way you can look up the information here. Turns out that LLC was stood up in 2019, found the formation documents by some people, their last name is Vu, Vietnamese refugees that came to this country after spending some time in some refugee camps. And I want to tell you about refugee camps for just half a second. That's where nefarious bad actors go to recruit people to become their assets to be able to handle after they get out of the refugee camp. They get them out and get them brought into a country where they want to have some influence and some behavior going on for their own agendas. So the bad actors, the enemies of America, go to these refugee camps, or the bad actors and enemies of other countries where a lot of refugees are going to migrate to, and they recruit them. It's a recruiting station for the enemies of peoples all over the world. Not to mention, it's also where the human trafficking trade is just happening like unfettered. It's just unbelievable the corruption that's going on in these refugee camps. But back to where we're at right now. So the CAV LLC was stood up by a guy named Vu and his wife, the famous. You can find him on the internet. She's a Vietnamese journalist and has done this and that. They're out of California. They stood up that corporation late 2019, and immediately they bought the Candle Hotel suites, and then got this deal with our IDA, which is a huge tax shelter, a huge subsidy, a huge detriment to the local area, Allegany County, New York. And it's happening and being applauded by every one of our leaders. And in fact, there's news stories right now about how everyone in all the towns is so happy with the progress of the work being done currently at the new truck stop. Unbelievable to me. So this corporation, these people have no experience with this type of work. These people have bankruptcies and all kinds of different litigations that have happened against them. This is all available on the internet. You go do your own research. If you Google the Allegany County Industrial Development Agency, you're going to get a bunch of news stories about this. It's a real recent happening. And there's an old video that I'm trying to find with a press release, which was done by a Chinese and a Muslim man when they were initially going to take this property in conjunction with the IDA and at the behest with all the approvals of our local leaders and develop it. Why didn't they turn to a local business? Why didn't they seek out local entrepreneurs? Why did these people choose to go with somebody that's from California, not an American-born citizen, and give them all kinds of subsidies and tax preferences and do it in secret? Economic development, every single piece of literature on economic development says that you should develop with your community. Wherever you're going to try to develop, you take the individuals that are active in your community or those that are not active and create an ability for them to join the conversation and join the effort. But in fact, our Industrial Development Agency in Allegany County and our local leaders do all of this in back rooms in secrecy and announce deals after post facto public disclosure. That is exactly the opposite of everything that is American. Americanism is open, community-based discussion, discourse, conversations, and decision-making that is best for all members of the community and develops resiliency in the community. And right now, if you look up what the grants are that are being funded by different portions of our government. It's going to be community resiliency initiatives. It's going to be research into how to create economic development. There's tons of stuff. There's a lot of different things, actually. There's open-ended U.S. Army grants for researching molecular thermodynamics, which I brought up to the Department of Energy in 2014 when I sent them a request for a $100,000 research grant. Now, I'm going to tell you, at that same time frame, they gave $3.7 million to the Wuhan lab to research the current event. What's happening with the current event? So little old entrepreneur me asked my government if I can get a research grant for $100,000 to research electrical efficiency and resiliency systems, including motors that would be EMP resistant, electrical generators that would be EMP resistant, and eventually it would be the transmission infrastructure with electrical EMP resistance and resiliency. So, and those are things that they want to research, but they're paying foreign laboratories the money instead. It's just unbelievable, folks. And I think everybody should do their part to try to uncover corruption and report their corruption to the Department of Justice, especially if something has happened in your personal life that has affected you. So the Department of Justice, the DOJ.gov/CRT. That's where you can go ahead and send requests for investigations or report misconduct. And then the Inspector General's office has got several emails where you can go ahead and send reports of fraud, waste, and abuse, which I have done specifically for this instance of fraud, waste, and abuse with the development going on at near the Crossroads Center here off the I-86 exit in Belvedere. So I'm trying, but I'm only one guy that they tend to not listen to. I have a history of reporting different things to our federal government through different channels and being completely ignored. And it just happens over and over. Well, it's because I don't have an alphabet soup behind my name. And I would like to see some of these alphabet soup people come down here and debate me in public on this show. Debate me in any issue they want to talk about: physics, economic development, foreign policy, constitutionalism, contemporary dysfunction of our government entities and representatives. I'm giving an open invitation for anybody that's interested to go ahead and come on and debate me. We can do it. We can do it through the internet, so we can still social distance, because everybody's just absolutely petrified of anybody that's got an alphabet soup behind their name is absolutely petrified by the common cold at this point, and willing to submit every single one of their rights in order to have the government provide security. Where's their security in being dependent on the government? There is no security in being dependent on the government, because the government is not a business and never was meant to run like a business. It is a parasitic organization meant to provide security for our property rights, and our access to commerce, the rule of law. That is the only reason for the establishment of any government agency, is to protect the rule of law on behalf of citizens. Now, if we could get the courts to go ahead and recognize that corporations are not people, they are not natural people, and we could do a lot of good to return this country to the rule of law. I don't know if that will happen. I'm actually thinking it's sort of happening right now, but there is currently a huge power struggle going on between the bad actors and the constitutionalist. You can figure out who's who if you want. If you want to do your research, use your critical thinking skills, and look at who's been acting in what way, you'll be able to tell where the battle lines have been drawn, who's attempting to take down and dismantle the regulatory state that has been oppressing entrepreneurs in this country and bolstering foreign actors in this country. And you'll see the other side of it, who the constitutionalists are that want to see everybody on a level playing field, which is where we need to be as a nation. That was how we were intended to be. And in the beginning, when we were set up, it may not have been perfect by any means. We're human. We're in the human condition. Each and every one of us, and us collectively, have the human condition, which means a number of different things that we can talk about in a different video. But let's wrap it up. I just wanted to go ahead and report a couple of things about the hypocrisy of Governor Andrew Cuomo with how he just held up on a pedestal the fact that one mask was donated. And on the other hand, he says, if you volunteered to come here and expose yourself to the greatest risk that we've known in contemporary times, then you're going to pay my state taxes. We don't appreciate that you came here to work for us and with us in order to solve the problems that his administration was incompetent to solve. So there's no appreciation for anybody that's done something above and beyond the call of duty for this nation and for this state. And then you have, on top of that, the New York City representatives claiming that the city will not be able to open. Well, I've got great news there. The city government might not be able to open. The city government might have problems functioning. The private industry has no problem opening back up and beginning the process of reestablishing an economic system in this state. So that's the reality there. There is no need for federal funds for the individual entrepreneurs and businesses to open, nor do they need the city government. What they need is the ability to defend their own property, to protect themselves if the government is incompetent to do so. Also, I've recommended to our executive administration that the local sheriffs begin to deputize veterans because veterans have already sworn an oath to the Constitution. They've already been trained. They have already proved themselves to be experts and professionals. They have already, in a lot of times, served in a police capacity. So with courts and anti-American representatives and officials currently ignoring the rule of law, what we need to have is constitutional sheriffs that will not yield, that will enforce the rule of law and the Constitution in their local areas. And New York State has a couple of great examples of that. So I'm appreciative of the sheriffs and our police that are working to keep us safe. And I would suggest to them that they ignore any court order to allow criminals to be released early under any pretense of the law. They're currently able to safely facilitate the incarceration of these prisoners, so there is no problem. And the last point that I was getting across in this video is that I have moved forward with reporting some very, very serious and very concerning inconsistencies with the economic development in our area. I spoke directly with the regional director of the Economic Development Administration, a federal agency that handles economic development. And basically what they do is they pay for nonprofits to work in areas in a pyramid structure in order to do economic development. I'll talk more about that in another video and get really detailed. But what I did is uncover the inconsistencies and reported the ineffectiveness. For 10 years, they have cited the same exact problems. And for our county specifically, we have a 19.8% impoverishment rate before. This is pre-event numbers. So we're going to be even worse now. And no mitigation has happened in this county in order to ensure that the quality of life of its citizens and the sustainability of their actual life is going to be protected. It's going to be improved. There's going to be resiliency for the population to improve their quality of life. Thank you very much. Happy Thursday. And I hope all is well. Best of luck. Thank you very much. If you like, please share, subscribe. Take care.